After understanding how population is structured, what are the different components of a population, we need to understand is the population changes over time as well. Till now, we have studied that population at a particular time, how it is composed of, but it is important to understand how they will change and how these components will change over time. It might, grow over time. It might decline over time. If the growth is positive, then we call it as growing. If the growth is negative, then we call it as declining. So population growth refers to the how the numbers of individual in a population increase or decrease with the time. So it is an attribute of time. It depends with a variation of time. So we have studied till now that it is composed of many different structures, but a population can be of different types as well. Now it can be a closed population, it can be an open population, or it can be a structured metapopulation. Okay, so closed population here refers to a population which is not available for exchange of individuals with any other. It is like a pond. Like a pond in a particular town, it is not available for exchange of individuals in and out of the pond. So that is a closed population. That means individuals cannot go out or come in to that entire region. So the major attributes or the major components which regulates the population change is birth and death. So if a population is changing over time, that means it is either increasing by birth or decreasing by deaths. There are no other factors that can actually influence the change in population. Yes, there are multiple factors which regulates the number of birth and death, but these two are demographic factors which actually attribute the changes in population, right? So these are also called as true demographic processes. Demography here refers to the study of population. Okay. Then comes open population. So here are, let's say, two populations. Okay, and of the same species. Populations here refers to always of the same species, individuals of the same species. So there are exchange of individuals that happen. So there might be emigration, there might be immigration. Now, open population here refers to one particular population, exchange of individuals within it. Okay, so you have to understand that open population refers to only one particular population and it is allowed for exchange of individuals. So there are population interaction that is happening with the particular population patch. So here we call it as patch, right? And it is subjected to dispersion and migration. So dispersion here refers to going individuals out of the population or coming individual in of the population. Now migration is a roundabout process. I mean, it's a two-way process that refers to going out of the population for a particular time and returning back after a particular time. So migration is a two-way process, whereas dispersion could be a one-way process. Okay, so here we need to understand that these kind of processes happen within an interaction of a population patch. Now, if there are multiple population patches, there are multiple population patches that we are talking about, and all of them are interacting. So these are closed populations per se, and these are interacting with other closed population, and they form a structured network. Okay, so they are interacting with each other. So one can interact with this can interact with that, and so on. So there is a structure of or network of interactions that is happening between populations that includes interaction of immigration, emigration, dispersion, migration. All of these are interacting all together, and that is affecting the birth and death of the closed population inside it. And all of that, the entire area, the entire region is concluded to be a completed structured metapopulation. Okay, so this is what metapopulation is all about. Metapopulation refers to multiple patches of individuals which are interacting with each other of the same species, and they are subjected to extinction and colonization. Now, multiple individuals might travel from this region and colonize this region, and individuals from this region might go extinct in the sense they might be leaving that region to another region, they might colonize this region, and that kind of interaction happens. That might be subject to resource availability, that might be subject to competition, that might be subject to any other kind of biotic interaction in between the community or the particular available resources. So let's start with understanding how growth function in a closed population. So there are different growth models that shows about how we can actually quantitatively assess how a population will grow or decrease or decline. So these are models of population growth that we'll study. We have two models. One is exponential growth model and one is logistical growth model. So understanding the exponential growth model, now this may seem complicated, but we have to focus on this particular example, this particular formula, which talks about exponential growth. Now this is the derivation of it. If you want to, you can go through it, and to need to understand, if you need to understand how it came from, so you can go through it. But just focus on the formula here. So this is the important part of the entire thing, that dn by dt here refers to change in population. dn by dt refers to change in population, where r refers to the rate of change. R refers to the rate of change and n is the number of individuals or the population size. Okay, so here we are talking about a population size, the change in population and the rate. And this formula actually talks about exponential growth. Exponential growth in the sense that says that population over time can increase exponentially. Exponential growth refers to the growth of individuals that happens in multiplied manner. That means the rate of population that changes over time is somewhat multiplying over time. That means, let's say if there are 100 individuals and the rate of population increase is 2 times. I mean, each of the 100 individuals produce 2 individuals. So in the next scenario, what will happen is there are 200 individuals which will again grow with the rate of 2 times. So that will 400 and 800 and so on. So that is the main 100 population is being multiplied with 2, then with 2's multiple, then this, like this. So here what we are seeing is the rate of population is growing exponentially. That means with the exponent, with the powers, with multiple instances. So this is what rate of population and rate of increase looks like in case of exponential growth. Now the thing is, these kind of growth will only happen if there are unlimited resources. So the resources are unlimited and the individuals can grow up to any level up to that same span, and the growth is exponential. So Malthus said that the exponential growth will happen in a population where there are unlimited resources available. Unlimited in the sense lots of resources, but that will happen only till a point of which if the resource go extinct or the resource is removed, then the population will directly drop. That's what happens. Okay, so that's his Malthusian growth, and he says that the growth of a population is limited by the available resource. If there are available in an unlimited manner, in a lot of availability, in abundant manner, then the population will grow exponentially until or unless the resource is entirely finished, after which the population will decline drastically. That is what Malthus said. Okay, so yeah, but we need to focus on this thing, that is dn by dt. The change in population is exponential in the sense it is the multiplied form of the rate of population and the population size. Now this can also be represented in this form, and to understand that this is also a valid explanation of exponential growth. Okay, where nt talks about in population at any given time, n0 is the initial population, and e to the power r and t are the exponential rates of the change in time and the rate. Now this is what Malthusian growth, and this happens in a hypothetical population that has continuous process of birth and death. I mean, if one individual produces 2 daughter cells, then that should be the continuous rate. All of the individuals should produce in that manner only. So all of the individuals should produce 2. So when we multiplied with 2, that means all of the individuals are producing 2 number of daughter cells. Okay, and the death is also continuous. I mean, if a death is happening over a period of 1 hour and only one death happens, that means in the next hour it will be 99. Okay, so that kind of thing. So only one per hour, only one individual dies. That sort of scenario will happen. Now all the individuals have same rate of birth death. Okay, and the availability of resources ultimate. It is unlimited, and no limiting factors. So there are no limiting factors working around in the population, which is actually not true, because all of the population faces a limiting factor in real world, and hence the next model is the real version of population growth, which is called logistic population growth. Now this is the most accepted version of population growth and is applicable to all of the individuals or biotic organisms. Now this is a long short derivation, a huge derivation, but the main idea you should get is about the asymptote. Asymptote refers to a point where the growth is zero. Okay, so asymptote in a graph is the point where the growth is zero. So here what is the graph? It is growing like this in the exponential growth, then it is grow up to a point. That means this is the asymptote where the growth is becoming constant. Okay, so this is asymptote. Asymptote. Okay, you have to remember the name. It will come a lot in the scenario. But all of this derivation goes out to this particular formula, that is dn by dt, or the change in population is dependent on rate or the intrinsic rate, and then the population itself. Apart from that, it is affected by a carrying capacity. Now, carrying capacity refers to a point at which the growth goes to a standstill. I mean, in case of limiting resource, for example, let's say there are 100 kilos of rice. There are 10 mice. Okay, so one mice requires 10 kgs of individual input. So they will grow up to a scenario where they will entirely accumulate the resource. After the 100 kilo is acquired, after the 100 kilo is eaten up by rice, they won't be able to multiply again because the resource is already finished. So that's why they'll face a decline in growth. Not exactly decline, but the growth will grow into standstill. It won't grow anymore. So that will be constant. So that's what carrying capacity is. So carrying capacity refers to a point at which there will be no extra growth happening. So a population will increase over time. It might go exponential, it might go steady, it might increase that much. But when it reaches around the carrying capacity, it will slow down. Slow down in the sense, and at a point it will become, whenever it reaches the asymptote or the carrying capacity, it will become zero. The growth is becoming zero. The change in population is becoming zero, but not the population size. Okay, the size remains that much. So if it is, let's say, carrying capacity, it has 500 individuals, then it started with, let's say, 5 individuals. So the growth will be exponential. It might be growing up to the resources available, and then at a point it will become, when it reaches around 500 individuals, which is the carrying capacity for the particular resource, after which the resource is finished, then the growth will become zero. So no growth will happen above 500. Okay, so that's what logistic growth model talks about. As simple as that. No growth after carrying capacity is reached. I mean, if a class, for example, in a class there are capacity of 100 students, then a class may intake students like 5 students per year, or 10 students per year, or 20 students per year, until or unless it reaches the strict point of 100 students. Once it reaches a 100 student point, then the class cannot take any more students. So that's the carrying capacity of the class. So that's what carrying capacity is all about. So the resource boundaries are set up by available resources, and that is the limiting factor for the population growth. Now this is also a hypothetical population where the resources are available and are density dependent. So the availability of resource and the demand for resources is density dependent. I mean, if the density is more, then the demand of resource will also be more, and the resource will finish up easily, earlier. Okay, and so once the demand of resource is supplied, once the demand of resource is fulfilled, and then the resource is not available anymore, then the resource will start sinking. I mean, even after 100 individuals, if I want to include more students, then that will cause problems for the remaining 100 students. Right, so that will lead to competition, that will lead to more struggle in between individuals, and that might lead to, density dependent factors which might cause mortality or removal of other students, because the resource is limited, and the population will halt to not grow anymore. And even if it is trying to grow, then it will not grow, but it will shrink down. That is why logistic growth or the Verhulst model talks about. So this is a more realistic approach. We'll talk about more problems related to it, but this is what logistic growth model is. Now the logistic growth model is S-shaped curve, whereas the exponential growth curve was J-shaped. J-shaped is exponential growth, and the logistic growth is S-shaped. Okay, so we have to remember this, and these are the most important, one of the most important questions that comes in repeatedly over different exams.